Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. I'm so pumped you're here today because we're going to uncover a completely invisible world. We're looking at the breakdown of strategic distribution and multimodal logistics parks. Now look, I know the word logistics might sound, well, a bit dry, right? Like a boring business term, but trust me on this, it's literally the beating heart of our entire global economy. It's this massive, hidden ecosystem working around the clock to make sure the stuff we use every single day just magically shows up exactly when we need it.
Think about the very last thing you bought. Seriously, take a second. Maybe it was a new pair of headphones, a paperback book, or even just your morning bag of coffee beans. How did it actually get into your hands? Well, the answer isn't just a delivery truck pulling up to your door. The real story lies in a highly complex, totally invisible supply chain, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. All right, let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the basics of distribution, then move into marketing and the 4 Ps. After that, we'll meet the mega hub, MMLPs, take a look inside a logistics park, and finally, wrap up with India's massive logistics revolution.
All right, part 1, let's look at the basics of distribution.
You know, it's really easy to think of distribution as just grabbing boxes and moving them from point A to point B. But modern distribution is way, way bigger than that. Distribution management is the whole process of overseeing the movement of goods from the supplier directly to the point of sale. So we're talking packaging, inventory, warehousing, the entire supply chain, the whole shebang. And here's the crucial takeaway. This isn't just some operational afterthought. Doing this well is absolutely vital for a company to actually survive and make money. Why? Because a business's profit margins depend heavily on how fast they can turn over their goods. Good distribution keeps things organized, keeps customers happy by avoiding messed up deliveries, and makes sure the right raw materials and finished products arrive at the exact right place at the exact right time.
Moving on to Section 2, Marketing and the 4 Ps. See, the most progressive companies out there don't just use distribution for transport. Oh no, they use it as a massive marketing and market intelligence tool. Distribution interlocks perfectly with a company's overall business strategy, specifically what we call the 4 Ps of marketing. First, you've got your product, which could be a physical object or even digital stuff like music or ideas. Then there's price, the actual value of the good, including discounts and financing. Promotion is how you talk to and persuade your buyers. And finally, placement, which is making sure your product is actually visible and available exactly where your customers want to shop. Effective distribution supports every single one of these. It makes sure you don't run out of stock during a big promotion, and it keeps your supply chain so lean that your costs stay low. And when your costs are low, you can sell at a competitive price and absolutely maximize that profit, all while gathering killer intelligence on your competitors.
Okay, on to Section 3. Meet the mega hub, the MMLPs. Now that we've got the theory down, let's look at the absolute marvel of physical infrastructure making all this possible on a massive scale. Enter the Multimodal Logistics Park, or MMLP for short. Our sources define these as special areas designed to handle all types of cargo, exports, imports, domestic movements, you name it. But the real magic word here is multimodal. These parks don't just rely on a bunch of trucks on a highway. They combine multiple transport methods, road, rail, and a lot of times even water, to maximize efficiency. They act as these giant centralized hubs for storing, handling, and clearing cargo all in one go.
And this shift to a hub-and-spoke model, it is a total game changer. Historically, moving freight relied on a point-to-point system. Imagine you need groceries, right? So you drive to a dairy farm just for milk, then across town to a bakery for bread, and then out to a totally different farm for veggies. It's exhausting, and it's incredibly inefficient. MMLPs allow us to switch to the hub-and-spoke model. It's essentially like building one supermassive supermarket where everything is brought together and then distributed out from a central hub. It totally fixes the inefficient mix of vehicles and transport modes that absolutely plagues traditional logistics.
Which brings us to Section 4. Let's step inside one of these logistics parks.
The sheer scale of these facilities is just mind-blowing. To even be considered a fully equipped MLLP, we're talking about a spread of 50 acres or more. 50 acres! They have direct access to national highways, and they even have their own connected railheads or private freight terminals. And the cargo handling is on another level. They have serious heavy machinery, reach stackers, massive cranes, forklifts to handle literally anything. They manage standard, break bulk, oversized project cargo, and they even have specialized reefer plugs for keeping goods temperature controlled. Plus, they have all the strict approvals needed to safely handle hazardous IMDG cargoes.
But it's not just about the heavy lifting. These parks are comprehensive, all-in-one service hubs.
They offer round-the-clock, 24/7 customs examination and clearance through a single window service. I mean, think about it. Having everything in one highly secure location massively cuts down on errors and shipping delays. They've got empty container depots for maintenance and pre-ship inspections, plus heavily segregated warehouses specifically for exports, imports, and bonded goods. They even do value-added services right there on the spot, like fumigating, shrink wrapping, and lash and cargo. And as our source points out, if the park happens to have waterfront access, that ramps up its versatility even more through barging and feedering.
All right, finally, Section 5, India's Logistics Revolution.
To see how this all comes together in the real world, we're going to look at how India is executing this exact hub-and-spoke concept on a truly colossal scale to solve a major infrastructure bottleneck. But to understand the revolution, we got to understand the problem first. India has a massive road network. We're talking 5.6 million kilometers of roads. However, the national highways make up just a tiny 2.3% of that total length. But here's the crazy part. That tiny 2.3% carries over 40% of the country's entire road traffic. You can imagine the severe imbalance there. It leads to insane congestion and sky-high logistical costs. So a solution was desperately needed.
And that big solution revolves around one ambitious number: 35. The Transport Ministry is currently planning a sprawling network of 35 multimodal logistics parks all across the country under a project called the Logistics Efficiency Enhancement Program, or LEAP.
The projected impacts of building these 35 MMLPs are just staggering. According to the ministry's proposal, these hubs will eventually account for 50% of the entire country's road freight, half of it. By moving away from that old, inefficient point-to-point system, these parks are going to drastically lower overall freight costs, significantly cut down on vehicular pollution and traffic, and slash warehousing costs. And because building all of this takes serious cash, the government is leveraging the public-private partnership, or PPP model. This is super smart because it taps into the state-of-the-art tech and operational efficiency of the private sector while the government handles the heavy lifting of land acquisition and trunk infrastructure.
Now, this isn't just some pipe dream on paper. The execution is actively underway right now, largely tied to the Bharat-Mala Pariyojana Phase 1 development. Out of the 35 identified locations, 24 are strategically placed right on national transport corridors. Detailed project reports have already kicked off for prime spots like Nagpur, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Chennai, Surat, Sangrur, and Guwahati. And to actually pull this off, there is massive coordination happening between the ministries of road transport, railways, and shipping. In fact, our sources note that back in 2017 alone, they signed 33 memorandums of understanding across various state governments and private companies worth a staggering 2 lakh crore rubles. All of that just to upgrade the state of logistics.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. The very next time you click order online or grab a product off a store shelf, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, what completely invisible logistics journey did this thing take? Did it pass through a massive 50-acre multimodal mega hub? Did it travel by water, rail, and road before it finally ended up in your hands? The hidden world of distribution is complex, it's colossal, and as we've seen today, it's absolutely fascinating. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep questioning how the world around you works.